On April 30th, 1945, before taking his own life, Adolf Hitler and his mistress Eva Braun burned all their documents, photographs, and other belongings. Hitler wanted to ensure that nothing was left behind after his death. At that time, no one knew what had happened inside the bunker in Hitler's final moments. However, 70 years later, thanks to a French officer, Commandant Raymond Rose, who is no longer alive, and a private collector, some new political and personal documents of Hitler have surfaced. These unique documents, revealed for the first time, provide a clearer understanding of Hitler's last days. They shed light on the atmosphere inside the bunker, why Hitler married Eva Braun just 24 hours before his death, which close associate betrayed him in his final 10 days, when he decided to end his life, and most importantly, how the Allied forces confirmed that the dead body was indeed Hitler's. After Hitler's death, everyone tried to analyze and understand the bunker. On November 25, 1945, Commandant Raymond Rose, a French officer, entered the bunker. There were 26 steps leading into a dark chamber. Inside, he found a dimly lit, filthy room with scattered papers, overturned furniture, and melted candle wax. Rose discovered documents that shed new light on Hitler's final days, revealing that Hitler remained firm in his decision and sought victory even in his death. Just 10 days before Hitler's death, the dream of Nazi Germany ruling the world had faded into a mere fantasy. Hitler's empire, once one of the most powerful in the world and a major challenge for Western powers, was collapsing. Berlin, the heart of Hitler's power and vision, lay in ruins. Destruction, fear, and death were everywhere. Allied bombs rained down constantly, and the Red Army was just 100 kilometers away. Hitler, who was about to become a victim of his own war, was now hiding in a bunker. This bunker, located 7 meters underground near the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, was no ordinary shelter. Designed by Hitler's personal architect Albert Speer, it was heavily fortified and bomb-proof. Originally built in 1936, it was reinforced in 1943 and 1944 as Allied bombings intensified. In German, this bunker was called the Führer bunker, meaning leader's bunker. It was here that Hitler spent his final days. The atmosphere inside the bunker was extremely depressing. Thick concrete walls, cold and damp air, and an eerie silence dominated the space. The bunker was a maze of small corridors and rooms that felt suffocating. Hitler's private quarters included 3 rooms: a meeting room for military discussions, a small room for Eva Braun, and a shared bathroom. The mechanical ventilation system created constant noise, adding to the mental stress of those inside. In his last 10 days, Hitler was deteriorating, both physically and mentally. He suffered from Parkinson's disease, which caused his hands to tremble uncontrollably. To hide this, he often kept one hand in his pocket, or positioned it in a way that concealed the shaking. His condition worsened to the point where he struggled to eat. Doctors reported that Hitler's face had become pale and exhausted, making him look 10 to 15 years older. Even daily glucose and vitamin injections from his personal doctor, Theodor Morell, couldn't restore his health. Anyone who met him during this time was shocked by his declining condition. His inability to control his own hand was a clear sign of his failing morale. Life inside the bunker was monotonous. Every morning, a military briefing was held, where his generals updated him on the worsening situation in Berlin. The loss of control over the city frustrated him. Hitler was naturally distrustful and always feared betrayal, and in his final days, this paranoia intensified. His fears were justified when in the end, one of his closest allies did betray him. As people inside the bunker planned to escape, Eva Braun remained loyal to Hitler. She had been his mistress for 13 years, but was never officially married to him. Experts believe that it was Eva's insistence to stay with him in the bunker, and possibly she was also Hitler's weakness. Eva was an emotional and romantic woman who wanted to remain by Hitler's side until the very end. Letters she wrote to her friends provide rare insights into their private life. In one letter she wrote, "This place is terrifying, but I am happy because Hitler is with me." Her daily routine inside the bunker was limited. She spent time in her room, arranging photographs or occasionally having coffee with Hitler. However, her letters reveal her deep loneliness. While inside the bunker, Hitler's empire was falling apart outside. Berlin had become a battlefield. Allied bombers relentlessly attacked, while the Red Army fought against Hitler's forces on the city's outskirts. Despite having 900 tanks and nearly 500,000 soldiers, the Nazi military was crumbling. People of Berlin hid in bunkers and underground shelters, trying to survive, while Nazi radio broadcasts continued playing propaganda and music, masking the reality. As Soviet forces crushed German defenses on the city's outskirts, a German soldier recalled that when he returned to Berlin, he could barely recognize the city because it had turned into a landscape of rubble. Realizing that Hitler's leadership was coming to an end, an internal power struggle emerged. Hermann Göring, chief of the German Air Force and a close associate of Hitler, plotted to seize power. Hitler had entrusted Göring with various high-ranking positions: Air Minister in 1933, Commander-in-Chief of the Luftwaffe in 1935, and head of Germany's four-year economic plan in 1936. In 1941, Hitler even declared him his successor. Believing that Hitler was trapped in Berlin and incapable of making decisions, Göring sent him a telegram, asking to take over leadership. Upon reading it, the already depressed Hitler exploded with rage. He immediately dismissed Göring from all positions, branded him a traitor, and ordered his arrest. Later, Göring was sentenced to death, but avoided execution by taking poison just hours before. As Soviet forces closed in, and even his closest ally betrayed him, Hitler made the final decision that he never imagined he would have to make. On April 29, 1945, Hitler gathered his close associates and announced that the time had come. At 1 a.m., he married Eva Braun in a brief ceremony inside the bunker, with just a few officers present. After the wedding, he dictated his final will, stating, "Eva and I have chosen death. For us, death is better than the humiliation of surrender." However, their marriage lasted only one day. On April 30th, 1945, at 3 p.m., Hitler poisoned his dog, Blondie, then entered his room with Eva. Exactly 24 hours after their marriage, they ended their lives. Hitler shot himself with a pistol, while Eva took cyanide poison. As per Hitler's instructions, bunker staff carried their bodies outside, doused them in fuel, and set them on fire. Hitler wanted to leave no trace behind. Before dying, he had all his documents and photographs burned, and in the end, even his own body was reduced to ashes. His intention was clear. He did not want to be captured and displayed as a trophy by the Soviets. That is why he ordered his body to be burned. When the Red Army finally entered the bunker, they found only charred remains. But were they truly Hitler's? To confirm, the Soviets examined Hitler's dental records. Hitler had always hated visiting the dentist, so he had a unique gold bridge installed to cover his damaged teeth. It was this dental bridge that helped in confirming his identity.